What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Happy Falcon Friday to all the Falcons out here. We got some news to tackle and talk about concerning the Atlanta Falcons. Sit back, relax. We got you covered. It's bumper to bumper, y'all. Let's go. Birdcage. What's going on, good people? The Falcons have added to their defensive staff. You have Mike Rittenberg, and then you have Nate. You have Nate Ollie coming into the fold or whatnot for the Falcons. This is definitely huge because we've been talking about garnering a defensive line. Coach Ollie is definitely that guy. Look back at the Houston Texans from this year, and then you can also look back at the Indianapolis Colts or whatnot. He definitely was a much needed hire. All of his defensive lines have been ranked in the top 10, and this is a guy that brings a lot to the table with the Atlanta Falcons. Also, when you look at Coach Ruttenberg coming in, he was a linebackers coach for 4 years. He's now going to be the defensive passing game coordinator. What that means is he's still going to have hands in what we're doing with the linebackers, and you're going to see a lot better linebacker play. This is a guy that's coming over from the Jets. When we look at what we've brought over, this is definitely huge. So when you look at these assistants from Coach Ollie and Coach Ruttenberg, these are two great hires. Now, we were a little suspect about Jeff Ulbrich, but here's the thing. Coach Ruttenberg worked up under him. If you look at the linebacker play and the type of players that they brought from the New York area, the Jets defense wasn't a problem from D line to linebackers. But let's call it for what it is. We're in a situation right now. What's going on, Keith? What's going on, Jaden? We're in a situation right now where we need defense bad. And we're seeing that the front office is understanding the cries of the fans. They're not just going to put asses in seats. They're actually going to try to bring in some defensive help. Now, the question is, how does the draft go? How do you end up putting in the draft a cry for help without looking desperate? Because again, we need a pass rusher. We need a whole bunch of things that's coming on at this point. So I'm looking at it from the standpoint of, hey, we've got to make this happen. This is a solid hire. And I think that we're going to be able to garner a pass rush. We're going to have better linebacker play. Now that you're bringing in staff members who can develop talent, that is one of the things that we have struggled with. And now with us having this opportunity to garner this, we can actually use talent now. We can actually get the talent we need and develop some of the pieces that are already here. So you have the guys to do it. The question is how much of a leash are they going to have when it comes to being able to get guys to do what they need to do? That's the other thing. Yeah, we're going to go linebacker, but the first pick has to be D-line and O-line. You got to protect your quarterback, and you got to be able to generate a pass rush. I mean, and be able to control the line of scrimmage. We're not going linebacker in the first round. If we go linebacker in the first round, that tells you that we really haven't learned. You have defensive linemen and an offensive tackle that you need to get. Got to protect your quarterback, and you've got to be able to keep people off the linebackers. The trenches have to be generally addressed right now. That's what I'm looking at. So when you look at these hires that we've made, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense to go in the trenches at this point. And all I can say is Coach Ollie is a hell of a coach. He is a hell of a coach. And I think he's going to be a great addition to this staff. We've needed somebody to come in and really get this pass rush going. We passed on Chuck Smith. It hurts. Chuck Smith was in Baltimore. They had one of the best D lines and pass rushes in the league. But now that we've made a move to where we've got somebody here, it's going to be nice. Now, something else that I'm going to bring up. Look at the AFC West right now. The AFC West has all of the coaches that have won Super Bowls during this era, during the Belichick era. Sean Payton, Andy Reid, Pete Carroll, and now he took the job for and I'm sorry, you got three of the four coaches have won Super Bowls, excuse me, but all of those coaches have made Super Bowl appearances. And Jim Harbaugh. Harbaugh just won a national championship less than a year ago, less than 2 years ago, and he's there. So you have a power structure in the AFC West now where you got all the best coaches in that conference. Records don't lie. Records don't lie. I actually addressed it. That was why I got on. I already started talking about it or whatnot. So I've already talked about Ruttenberg, and they also got Coach Ali as well. So those are two hires that they made. Appreciate you bringing that in, GA Texas boy. But let's talk about it. You apparently see that some of these regimes are not scared to go down the path of grabbing an experienced coach or grabbing a coach that has been in the league before. You see this. The AFC West just got that much tougher. When we play any of those teams, it's not going to be a cakewalk at all. Not going to be a cakewalk. Not saying that we can't beat them, but it's going to be more of a war of attrition. And you got 4 chess players that are over there right now. So when you look at it, don't be surprised when you see how Pete Carroll puts his staff together, how Pete Carroll does things. I'm looking at what we're doing right now with the Falcons. I think that we made some moves so far. Now, Ulbrich wasn't my guy. I'll admit that, but I got to ride with him because of the success that he had under Robert Saleh in New York. But when you look at the 2 coaches that he brought in, that boosts the defense a lot. On top of having Jerry Gray in the building and still helping run that defense. You got a young mind when it comes to Coach Ali, who's a defensive line coach, who's elite at what he does. Then you have one of the best linebacker coaches in the game with Coach Mike Rutenberg. Rutenberg, outside of being a former player, Rutenberg is a guy that sees the game from a cerebral aspect. You're going to see your linebackers going to be more fundamentally sound, being able to attack coming downhill, going to be able to play the pass, going to be able to identify things with fluidity. We're not going to have to wait and have weeks and weeks. Now, Ulbrich is a guy who did it. Think about it. The year we went to the Super Bowl, Ulbrich was assistant linebacker coach at that time and linebacker coach. Devondre Campbell was one of the best linebackers that we had. We let go. Another one was Foye Oluokun, who we let go. We should have never let go. That's down in Jacksonville at this point. Then you look at everybody else, Deion Jones when he was healthy. You look at everything that we've had on this team, and I can tell you right now, the defense is going to get a major facelift this year. The question is Raheem Morris going to put us in a situation to where we're going to be, how can I put it? Is Raheem going to put us in a situation to where our defense is going to be productive and go to the strength of our defense running a 3-4? I don't want us running a 4-3. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't want us running a 3-4. Excuse me. I want us to run a base 4-3 defense or a 4-4 because of the type of athletes and players that we have at this point. I'm just looking at it like this, man. I think that we've got to put these guys in position to be successful at this point. Because the more and more you look at it, if Raheem does not get it done, he and Terry are going to be pretty much saying neither one of us want to say goodbye like the legendary Gladys Knight and the Pips used to sing back in the day, because they're going to be on the first thing smoking up out of here. It's got to be conference or bust, playoffs or bust. You can't have a slip up. You can't allow yourself to fold and fall again as you did before. You can't. And at this point, all you can do is just sit back and hope that he gets it together. Because if he doesn't, we're going to be going right back to square one. We're going to be going right back to square one, looking for a head coach, and all the good coaches have already been taken. Raheem, is your time to show that you can be a good head coach. But if you can't show that you're not going to be a good coach, then you got to slide. Simple as that. You got to slide. I think this offseason, and this is just me, if we don't stay in the 15th position to draft in the first round, I would say trade back. I'd love to get somebody in the 15th. I'd love to get in the first round. Tampa just, here's the thing, Tampa's offensive coordinator literally just became the head coach in Jacksonville. So we don't know what they're going to look like. But I'm celebrating. I'm also celebrating the fact that Aaron Glenn has gone to the New York Jets opposed to going to the New Orleans Saints. I'm glad about that, because if we were in a situation to where he would have gone to New Orleans, it would have been a problem because of the type of coach he is. But he was so bold to say, hey, I don't want Mickey Loomis here. But here's the thing. A lot of people don't know this about the New Orleans Saints GM. Mickey ain't going nowhere. Mickey actually has a small share within the team where he owns it. So he's not going anywhere. So he's going to be there. So as long as he continues to do crazy and dumb stuff, the Falcons benefit, as long as we're competent in our decisions that we make. I'm not going to worry about them. That's their problem. I'm worried about this team making competent decisions. These guys that we just brought in was a competent decision. And I applaud this. I applaud this. We got a good defensive line coach, another great linebacker slash passing game coordinator coach. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this because the one thing I know is that these guys are going to bring something to the table that is going to boost and help this defense literally keep points off of the board and give Michael Penix Jr. an opportunity to grow and be a better quarterback and be able to put points on the board for this Falcons team. There's a lot of great things that is coming from this right here. A lot of great things. At this point, we just got to sit back and enjoy the ride. Some of the bumps and hurdles that we've come across, we don't like. We've hit some speed bumps. We've hit some potholes so far this offseason. We don't like it. But this is a part of the process where we're going to like it. We're actually riding on a smooth road right now. The draft is going to tell you everything you need to know. Still a lot of stuff that we still have to get. Still a lot of stuff. And at this point, I look at it as if we have to become more, as I would say, how can I put it? We've got to be a little bit more conscientious in the expectations for this team. This is a bad division. My expectations is to win this division. But if we can't win this division, then we have a serious problem, more than the deficiencies of players. So as wrapping up, I think that these are two great hires. I wasn't going to stay too long or whatnot. I was going to do a little segment, 15 minutes, pop in. I might do a little pop-up show after I get off the clock today. Right now, I'm on what we call, is one coin on the bird cage. I'm pretty much on, my pockets are on a lettuce green diet right now. I need my pockets to get fat off of lettuce and dead presidents. But the sad part about it is the bill collectors continue to pull a lot of those presidents away from my pockets. So I got to continue to keep grinding just like all of you. I just had to take a break from the JOB to talk about something that is amazing and something that is great when it comes to adding two good coaches to this staff. I really believe that we're going to head into the right direction, but it's got to happen in the draft this year. It's got to happen. Now, the question is this, and I'm going to ask folks in the chat because I want to hear your opinions on this. Do you think Tampa's going to regress now that they've lost their offensive coordinator who literally has won games? And I agree with you, Keith. Rome wasn't built in a day and overnight. Me, I'm a historian. I love world history as well as sports history. And I can tell you right now, Rome was built over decades and decades of bloodshed and greed. The thing is, the Falcons got to become blood hungry, bloodthirsty, and they've got to become greedy. We've got to start becoming greedy. We got to start being that team that doesn't care. We're going to take all resources to win a championship. We've got to do that. We've got to take that type of mindset as the ones ancient Romans did. That's just being honest. I'm not a fan of the Romans like that, but I'm a fan of Roman history. I can tell you that at this point, Raheem Morris is kind of right now, he's kind of like how Hannibal was when the Roman Empire. Remember this. If those who aren't history buffs, I apologize, but I got to go down that rabbit hole real quick. Hannibal literally had Rome shook to its knees, was getting ready to change the whole Western civilization if he would have marched on Rome. Had so many victories, but the one war that he lost, you talk about the Battle of Zarna, he loses to Africanus Cyprian, excuse me, General Cyprian, I'm so tongue twisted. Y'all gotta forgive me. General Cyprianus. And that's who Africa was named after, by the way. If you go back and look at that, he did not take advantage of those wins. And it cost him. And it cost him. What's going on, Strapped Up? I just came on for a sec, but I'm going to be on a little later. And it cost him. Until Raheem Morris understands that you got to take the little victories that you have and turn them into wars that you win the battle, you're not going to do it. You're not going to do anything. Afro Africanus. And all I can say is at this point, Raheem is Hannibal. Very captivating, very motivating. Get guys to do whatever. Get fans to buy into it. But until you can take those victories and win big time, you're going to continue to be like Hannibal. Great for motivating, great mercenary. You're going to be just like Hannibal. You're going to be literally bouncing around like he did at the end of his life until he ended it. Rome wasn't built in a day, but here's the thing. I need Atlanta to start being like the Roman Empire. I need Atlanta to start buying, purchasing, looting, doing whatever you can to win a championship. That's what we need. Tired of the good old boys mentality. We don't need to be Southern gentlemen when it comes to this. It's cutthroat business. It's a cutthroat business. And until we, as Falcon fans, can understand that, stop falling in love with players, fall in love with the logo, we're going to continue to be a mediocre franchise. That is the last thing we need anymore. That's the last thing we need to deal with. We do not need to be a mediocre franchise. We have a lot of things that the city can offer for players to come through, except for winning culture. So until we offer a winning culture, we're going to continue to be the way that we are, and we're going to continue to lose. And the last thing we need to do outside of losing is start getting better at scouting. I'm going to continue to preach that till I turn blue in the face. And I'm a chocolate brother, so it's going to be kind of hard for me to turn blue. We've got to do a little bit better when it comes to scouting and bringing in talent. You can't just bring in one good piece. You got to scout and bring in better pieces throughout those middle rounds on top of your superstar that you choose to draft, or have a superstar in the making that you can get for the low. So this is your boy, the historian. I got to get back on that clock. As I always said, I'm on that green diet right now. My pockets got to get heavy because, damn it, the bill collectors definitely like taking that money from about your boy's pocket. So with that being said, I definitely appreciate you guys for jumping on for a sec. I'm probably going to do a little segment later on this afternoon or whatnot after I get off the clock. And I'm going to try to see if you guys want to come in and chime in and talk about these two new hires that we have. So with that being said, this has been Bumper to Bumper with your boy, the historian. You either get right or you get left. Peace.